the chairman. On the improper payments, they've been identified as a key concern, as the gentleman from Oklahoma brought up. Mr. Fine, your recent Department of Defense IPERA compliance report noted that the department did not comply with 5 of the 6 recommendations. When was the last time DOD was in full compliance?
I don't think it has been in full compliance.
That's what I thought. Due to noncompliance with IPERA, DOD is required to issue a report describing actions the agency will take to come into compliance. Have they issued that report? In the FY 2016 report, your office made...
Mr. Fine, could you turn your microphone on? All right, thank you.
I think he answered no to both questions for the record, that they have not complied, and they have not issued a report explaining actions that they will take to comply. In the FY 2016 report, your office made a number of recommendations that DOD agreed with. Have any of those recommendations been fully implemented and closed?
I have to go back and look and see whether that's the case. I wouldn't doubt it, but we are in the process, and we currently do that. We look to make sure that the recommendations that we make and they agree to are actually implemented, and we have actually issued a report recently, Compendium of Open Recommendations. There's more than 1,200 open recommendations.
Is this the report?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to enter this into the record.
Without objection.
Okay. The Department of Defense is initiating an audit, which is obviously long overdue. Would you agree that that will help in identifying the improper payments? And
Financial statement audit?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. It's a very important audit. It's critical.
okay, let me transition here quickly to Mr. Horowitz. In your statement, you said in 2016 the IG's identified approximately $45.1 million in savings. How much of that has been realized, or do you know?
I don't know, as I sit here today, how much has been realized. I think one of the things that we'd like to see, I know we're doing this within our own organizations, trying to figure out how we can follow up on those numbers within the Justice Department.
That was what I was going to ask you. Is there any way to determine whether or not, I mean, we identify them, that makes them potential. Right. If they're actually realized, then that makes them obviously real savings, and I just wonder if there's a way to make sure that when we identify it, that someone follows up on it and we were able to realize those savings.
And we follow up on all our recommendations, and they don't get closed until we decide to close them. What we need to do more work on with the agency is to get reports on what kind of recoveries there are. We're starting to do that, and we've been putting out announcements, releases to the public to let them know when we have had recoveries.
I want to also stay with you just for a moment, and Ms. Lerner, you can respond as well if you'd like. But when we're talking about the disaster relief funds, I believe there's several billion in unspent totals from Sandy. There's unaccounted for funds from Hurricane Matthew. We know that prior to the disaster relief funds being approved for Puerto Rico, they paid out $100 million in bonuses. You identified $26.1 billion in disaster relief funds. Those were community development block grants. And my concern about this is there's no way to really manage these funds to determine that the money's actually getting where it needs to go. If this were a private contract, you would award money on the front end to meet the immediate need, and then everything else would be paid to invoice. Does that make sense?
It's been a significant concern of, I think, all of the IGs that are looking at their agencies which put out money through grants, contracts, and others, is the lack of performance management and accountability that's going on there, and understanding at the end of the project what the successes were, what the failures were, after action plans. I mean, you do all of that after spending a substantial amount of money. And one of the things we've also seen at DOJ OIG, and we're just issued a report on, and we've done in the past, is on unspent grant funds and closing out grants in a timely fashion. Because that money is just sitting there and can be misused. And so that's very important.
Mr. Chairman, I want to further explore the grant issue. So if I think what I'd like to do is let everyone else ask their questions and then come back to this afterwards, if that's okay.
Sure, I'll consult with my ranking member and, or else one of your colleagues, including may actually yield you some time so you can finish that line.
Right now or afterwards?
Well, it's not my turn right now, but when it is my turn, I will give you some of my time, assuming Inspector General Horowitz answers my questions as quickly as he normally does.
You're a very generous chairman, and
And you're a very diligent member, and I appreciate your interest.